Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Glenn H., how you doing, man?
Hey, what's up, brother? Hey, I feel like I'm getting sicker by the minute here, man.
Right?
Like,
You're going through some.
Yeah, God, man. Just, but so thank you for hanging in with me. Brian always does a great job here. Great.
Yeah, great is good. Good to be in the coffee shop. We start early on Saturday mornings, and my engine, it was tough for my engine to get going. I don't know. We've had a stretch of kind of some cloudy weather. I wonder if that has something to do with it. Now it's bright and sunshiny out today, so hopefully we'll be feeling a little better.
I don't know, man, but I love coming in the coffee shop.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Hey, guess what?
I'm excited about today.
I know we got a table for four.
I know. I can't wait.
I know we had to bring another chair in.
Very interesting topic today.
And the barista's ready. So, so let me set this up a little bit. We had Carrie. Go back and listen. Great episodes we had with Carrie a couple of years ago. Carey. Check it out on www.sober.coffee. Just search for Carrie. I had a couple of great episodes with her. She's just a rock star in my opinion, and just strong in the community of sobriety, which I'm so grateful for her. Anyway, she sent me a little message, and she said, "Hey, I've got a couple of people you need to talk to." And I'm like, "Okay, we're up. We love having guests in the coffee shop." So she introduced me to Marin, and good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning, Marin.
Doing well. Drinking my coffee here, waking up.
Right. I got Dunkin'.
Good day.
Yep, Sober.Coffee runs on Dunkin'.
I love it.
Very nice to meet you. Welcome.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, so you're doing some really interesting things. Unfortunately, we only hang around a coffee shop for a half hour, so we're going to talk fast because you are doing some really, really good things, and you brought a guest in with you as well. So our fourth partner this morning is Abby. Good morning, Abby. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm well. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for getting up so early in the morning. Do you normally work on a Saturday, Abby?
I don't, but I've already been up, gotten my workout in, and ready to go for this.
Good for you.
Nice.
Good for you. So let's kick off right away. And Glenn, I'm sure will chime in. He loves to get through the weeds and stuff, but let's just kick off a little bit.
I'm teed up. Let me put it that way.
Are you teed up already?
I'm ready.
All right, great, excellent. So, Marin, tell us a little bit about what you got going on out there. And first of all, where are you located? Where do you operate?
I am in sunny Minnesota.
Sunny Minnesota. Never snowy.
It's beautiful today.
Good.
I'm in Minnesota. Yep. And Abby, go ahead.
I'm located in Portland, Maine.
In Portland, Maine.
Not sunny here.
Oh, Abby, is it ever sunny in Portland, Maine?
Tomorrow's supposed to be beautiful for all of the mothers out there. We're queuing up a great day.
That's excellent. What's the temp supposed to be?
I think maybe in the 60s.
Oh, I'll take that. Take that.
Yeah, it'll be nice, but we've had a rainy stint. Not a great spring so far.
Okay. So, Marin, tell me a little bit about what you got going on out there in Minnesota.
So we are working with Abby, and so that's why we wanted Abby to be part of this conversation. My co-founder Ingrid and I started a company called Sobriety. So I'm someone in long-term recovery, and actually today I'm getting my 20-year medallion.
Oh, that's phenomenal!
Wow.
Nice work.
Exciting! I know
that is something. So they always say, like at meetings I go to, because I've got a couple of years, and I'll announce my time, and then they'll say, "Well, somebody will holler out, how did you do it?" So how did you do it, Marin?
All right, let's start there before we get to the company because it informs starting this company.
Right.
Honestly, being so sick and tired of being sick and tired that I came in just completely willing to listen and do whatever I was told to do because I was terrified that it was going to kill me. And so I was really lucky to find some amazing women. I got sober in Brooklyn, New York when I was 24 years old. And I also had a dad in recovery and uncles in recovery. So I knew what that path looked like, which really did save me from what easily could have been another decade of use. And so I did what they said. My dad, when I called my dad, he said, don't drink, get a sponsor, read the book, big book, go to meetings. I was like, okay.
1, 2,
and I
3,
just
4,
repeated
go.
that in my head over and over again. And honestly, 20 years later, it's same deal. Like, I just continue to do what works, stay in the middle of the pack. I think that's a big part of it. Like, stay in the middle, don't be on the outside, come early, stay late. I'm really grateful that it's worked for me.
You're saying all the right things, but we don't capture video for our podcast, but I want anyone who's listening to this coffee session to know she's got a smile on her face and a sparkle in her eye. I mean, It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, it's a gift of recovery. So, it's both. It's both a lot of humility, because when you've been sober this long, you see a lot of people who don't make it, and a lot of good friends who have died from this disease. And so I hope to just always remember, that I'm one of the lucky ones, and to give back where I can, which then led to creating Sober.
Yes.
So a quick story of how this came to be, and the work with Abby, and then would love Abby to share too. We started out of this thing that I had started at Salesforce called Soberforce. I recognized that we were not talking about sobriety in the workplace, and so many events were centered on alcohol, as they are in all spaces. This isn't a comment on Salesforce. This is just the world at large. And I was like, this doesn't work. This is problematic, right? I feel awkward navigating out of this, and I'm 15 years sober, and I'm a leader. What the heck is someone supposed to do who's 30 days sober? And so we started this group. We had 500 employees join in 5 months, and it was people were thirsty for this conversation. No pun intended.
I was going to say that was good. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just about sobriety. It was about sober curiosity. It was about sober allyship. It was about people who just wanted to do better as leaders. They didn't want to do another happy hour, but they didn't really know what else to do. And then out of that came this recognition that when people needed tangible navigation to help, like people who don't know about AA or how to find a meeting or other types of recovery pathways, there was nowhere to go for that help within the workplace. Our benefits fell short. And so it was never my plan to start a company. Let me be clear. It was never my plan to combine my recovery with my work life. That was never on my radar. But it just felt like this is a problem that has to be solved for. It's unacceptable. We haven't solved it yet with the 48.5 million Americans who have substance use disorder. Like, how are we continuing to not serve them? Most of us are in the workplace, and a lot of us in recovery are in the workplace. And so it's like, we need to talk about this. So Abby and Olympia was one of our first customers and have been amazing partners with us. And so wanted to bring her to the conversation too.
Great.
All right, so question. I'll jump in. This is burning for me, right?
Yes.
So I happen to be, for many years in the corporate world, and booze was around everywhere, and booze always was a problem, right? And we go to these executive conferences every year. You have them once a year, right? And you would lose 2 or 3 senior, C-level, next level down executives, right? And I remember like the HR and other people saying, I had so many disastrous stories of things that happened because of booze at these conferences. And I remember like HR and our president, he was like, I just don't understand, how this happens year after year after year. And I looked at him, I didn't say this, but I looked at him like, are you an idiot? Like, you wake up in the morning, first of all, you're hungover. Next, you play golf, right? And there's a cooler on every hole, and there's a golf cart that comes around with shots, right? And then after golf, then you have lunch with an open bar, right? And then you have wine tasting at 4, and then you have open bar at 6, and then you have cocktails for an hour, and then you have wine bottles sitting on the tables. And then you wonder that by 11 o'clock at night, somebody's throwing a stroller over the balcony at the Grand Floridian.
Right.
Like you're surprised at that.
Right.
So part of and I've never done this. I have so many strategic ideas. Sobriety, right? I was like, somebody has to get the message to these corporations, right? And what I also know, because I'm part of a nonprofit sober living community with executives and professionals, There are executives and professionals in every single company that are struggling with alcoholism, addictions, trying to find sober solutions, trying to find recovery solutions, and nobody's got the answer. In fact, they're being judged because they're not perfect.
Right. And on the other side of the coin,
So I love Sober.
I love on the website, Sober website, 48.5 million with substance abuse disorder, right? From alcohol or substance abuse disorder. 70% of them you say are employed, right? So now you're going
That's
from
right.
the C level right to the street level. I mean,
Yep.
this is across the organizations where you've got this problem. And I come from the corporate world, and I've got about 55 employees, and I can identify those through my interworkings that are struggling. And the best I can do is, hey, if you're struggling, reach out, and we'll try and point you in the right direction. I am not sober. I don't have all the resources for them. So tell me how you connected with Abby, what you do, and how you connected with Abby then.
Well, the lovely Carrie, who's clearly the master connector, brought us to
Yes,
you
yes.
and brought us into her workplace.
All right, there you go.
And you know what? It was from a podcast. So that's, the Power Podcast. So thank you again for having us. Yes. Carrie had heard me on a podcast and was like, I want to do what you did at Salesforce. At this point, I hadn't launched Sobriety yet. I was just talking about Soberforce. And she brought me in and introduced me at this. And then by the time we connected, we had launched this company. And Abby, maybe you can share kind of what it was from Olympia's perspective. The high level of what we do, which is your question, is 24/7, 365 access to our team of peer coaches. Peer coaches are people who are in recovery at least 1 year and have gone through some serious, rigorous training and certification at the state level. So within each 50 state, there is a program to certify you as a peer coach. Sometimes they're called certified peer recovery specialists. Yes. There's different names in different states.
And you have one in 50. You have representatives from each of the 50 states.
No, we're not on all 50 because we're subclinical. We don't. It's not like nursing where you have to be one-to-one. Okay, so we have a team that covers all 50 states. Can pick up the phone for all 50 states.
Excellent.
That team can then meet that employee or family member where they are with their needs. Mm-hmm. So if you are calling us because you're in crisis and need to get to detox, we can help navigate you to that.
Oh, fantastic.
If you're calling us because you just are sick of drinking every night and you want to pull back, but you don't want to necessarily get sober, quote unquote, we can help you create a sober plan, right? We can help identify what are your goals and support you on your goals through coaching. So it's care navigation to a broad array of services like the sober living facility. So Glenn, you and I need to follow up and get the information for that. We want to do the comprehensive set of pathways that one can take when they're getting sober because not everyone's path is the same. And today benefits tend to just point you to inpatient clinical care. That's not appropriate for everyone. I didn't go to clinical care. So nowhere in my health record does it say I'm an alcoholic in recovery. Right. But I can guarantee you I have been a really productive employee. I have been a very present employee and I've saved a ton of medical spend because I'm sober.
Right.
So we want to lift up those stories too to help the corporate world and others recognize your sober employees are incredibly great assets. And this is a recoverable disease state. Let's help your employees who are struggling right now getting the help that they need.
I love that.
So Abby, maybe I would love, I feel like I'm hogging the mic. I'd love for you to share, like when we partnered with you, what was it that Olympia was looking for?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think one, just to call it out, hospitality as an industry has almost double the national average for employees with substance use disorder. Talking about the conferences, the executive conferences you were just at, even my own experience just traveling to different hospitality conferences and things, that's really what it is. It's all centered around drinking and engagement in that capacity. So Carrie, being a sober team member, started kicking around this idea with us at our last GM DOS conference about, I think the topic of being an inclusive workplace and having employees that not just survive, but really thrive with us has always been near and dear to our heart. Concern for others is one of our 5 core values. And so as a company, we're constantly, looking for ways to how do we live into that value. And so when Carrie brought it to us as a suggestion, it was a natural move for me. am in HR now, but spent most of my time in the actual hotels. I was a GM for over a decade, and I took one of our properties through COVID, which I think is really when we saw, quite a prevalence of substance use and wellness, mental health issues in our employees. And I am a big believer of looking at somebody as a whole person versus just who they are, when they're working. And in particular, I've told this story before, but I had an employee that came to me and said that she was in crisis. She needed to get sober. She was not in a safe living situation, and she needed help. And I went through the process of helping her, and I found it extremely difficult to find resources, to know where to look, be it housing options, recovery options. And it took a lot of time. And she was able to get into help. I drove her there. I picked her up. I got her to rehab. I worked with a couple of organizations, and she's doing well and thriving today. But I also recognized that not all of our leaders have that time, training, or ability to do that. And so Sobriety was a natural move for us because it does provide us a resource for our leaders to be able to call. We know that it's important for our leaders to create this space for our employees so that they feel comfortable asking for help. And in return, we wanted to provide them an outlet so that they could also get the support they need to help their employees. So we have had, an employee call in and was able to find some outpatient services. And it was a helpful resource for our general managers to be able to continue to provide our employees care. So that's how it came about.
That's awesome. I love, first of all, again, when you finished up your story about your lady in distress, again, your smile and kind of the calmness that came over you, that you were able to help her out, and that achievement that you meant. But what really jumped out at me is that one of your core values is concern for others, and just how you take that for heart, and now you're playing that out in the street. My question is, you probably hang with other people in HR. You probably go to conferences where, do you find that more people are being open to this? I mean, the statistics don't lie. 2 in 3 families are affected by disorder, disease, alcoholism, drug addiction. I mean, I'm certain maybe the number is even higher than, 60% in some cases. I mean, everyone seems to be affected by it. My question is the corporate world starting to take a look at this like you did, Abby, and took it seriously? An opportunity like this with Sobriety? Or is there still a stigma?
I think there's still a tremendous stigma, unfortunately. Yeah. And I think there's a long way to go in the education of it. One of the things that I have appreciated most about partnering with Sobriety is it's really helped even myself look at things differently. One of the big takeaways, I had a conversation with Marin once, and she said, we would never look at somebody whose cancer returned and be upset with them, right, because their cancer returned or they had a relapse. And yet, when we look at people in recovery and we don't understand that the journey is not a linear,
we judge the world out of
one way. Yeah.
Right.
But I think probably one path that I would love for anyone in the corporate world to start to explore is really understanding that there's a whole, one of the cool things that we're doing at our next conference, since this topic has come up about being surrounded, is although, yes, there will be, alcohol served, we're also doing a setup of a mocktail bar to really demonstrate how cool you can make those. And, we're still charging the same amount of money. So we're bringing awareness that there's other paths to still kind of have that community feel, but also what can we do that supports people that are in sobriety, or maybe just want to, like you said, not get drunk at a conference and right, cause a scene, as I have seen many times as well.
Well, I think the cool thing is that Olympia is taking a stand. I think you're you're being an example. Olympia Hospitality is being an example now to other corporations that, hey, there's a solution out there that is gonna look at the whole of your employee, your staffer, and there's a solution that seamlessly plugs in, and it's okay to do this, right? So you're helping to break that stigma, and so congratulations to you, because I'd love to be. I mean, yes, I think it needs to be brought up, and I love the analogy of somebody with cancer, because my story is, I mean, I have a disease and I have to treat it daily, and I do the same things to treat. I have medication I take, and the medication is going to a meeting. The medication is serving others. The medication is staying diligent to the program, right? These are the things I need to do to continue. That doesn't fend me off from a relapse. I mean, I'm grateful that that's not been part of my story in the last 7+ years, but it doesn't, there's no guarantee for today that this doesn't come back. And I just love that stance that, we're still there for you. That's fantastic. So Marin, how has this been played out? I mean, are you finding more acceptance? I mean, you obviously found it with Abby. Are you finding other HR directors to be open, receptive to this, or do you find it that there's still a bit of a standoffish about the disease of addiction?
I'd say there is a lot of awareness from lived experience like Abby had. Mm-hmm. I think you'd be hard pressed to find an HR leader who does not know or has not experienced an employee in crisis or an executive who they're concerned about and don't know what to do or say. The number of them who are willing to say, I'm going to go defend this to my CFO as an investment in this economy is tough. Because, and this is my theory of why, in addition to stigma and treating this as a moral failing, and why can't they just not drink? What's wrong with them? Right. And I love, Glenn, what you outlined of we start with mimosa, champagne toast, then we go to this, then we go to this. It's like, how are we surprised that there are sexual harassment situations happening, that there are people who are dying at conferences because of their substance intake? Of course. And yet, we still act surprised. So I think what's tough is that substance use disorder doesn't show up in the claims data. So when you look at how typically, and Abby, correct me if I'm wrong, but HR leaders work with their brokers to say, where are our employees sick and needing help? And the brokers say, well, we've analyzed your claims and your diabetes rate has increased by X percent. So we need to invest more in, diabetes prevention, weight loss management programs. Alcohol use disorder doesn't show up in the claims data.
That makes sense.
And yet it's the third driver of all cancers is what just came out from the Surgeon General. Right. So I think we're at an inflection point where we have a lot more data now that says
that's encouraging.
It's not good for your heart. It's causing cancer.
That's good. That's encouraging.
One drink or less for women a day significantly increases your risk of health issues, including cancer. 2 drinks or less for men a day puts you at risk. So these are numbers that I think are pretty shocking to people when they hear it, because they're like, wait, what? I thought I could have my glass of wine after work and be fine. And now we're starting to see actually it leads to cancer and heart disease and untreated diabetes. I still, still a big ask of a company. We don't come in and say, okay, here's your solution, put it in your employee handbook, and we're going to hope people call us. We expect the company to work with us because part of our solution is culture change on doing things differently.
And I would imagine education.
A lot of education, a lot of how do your people leaders talk about this? How do you gather, celebrate, reward? So like the Sober Happy Hour that we're going to co-host with Olympia, we are looking for partners who are willing to change things. And that can be tough in a culture that's really dependent upon alcohol as their way of bonding and gathering and celebrating. So all that said, there is a lot of interest, a lot of engagement of companies of all sizes, from 100 people all the way up to 1 million, who are talking to us, who are interested, but we still have a lot of education to do.
So quick question. So Abby, I don't know if you want me to share, but your organization is rather large, right? What's the plan Marin, to get out there to organizations? I mean, what does your marketing plan look like, if that's a sensible question?
How are we getting these conversations with companies? Is that the ask?
Yes, with C-levels and HR departments at companies.
Yeah, we've been really blessed by a bunch of sober employees out in the world who hear podcasts and bring us in. I mean, that literally has led to being in talks with over 10
So it comes in low and works its way up the ladder.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right now, that's what we've been able to do. So
grassroots.
we just launched this company in 2024. But, because what we're doing is so personal to so many people, it's a really unique sales cycle. It's very different than when I sold CRM. This is people have a personal investment in seeing their companies do this work. And so they end up being our best salespeople from the inside, because they're like, hey, if I would have had this would have saved me so much time and suffering in my own disease state. I could have gotten sober probably sooner, or I could have helped my loved one easier. And so there's a lot of people who will hear about us, or who I'm connected to, who want to see this work exist. We are starting to now shift and focus more to the small, medium-sized businesses, which Olympia would fall within. So not the jumbos that we were talking to, because I think there's more flexibility. I think they can move faster. I think they know their employees. They know who their employees are, right? When you're a company of 75,000, you become a number in a lot of ways. When you work with a smaller company, they're invested in their people. I think, at the risk of offending someone who's at a big company, right? But it's a different energy.
Yeah, but you know what?
So,
I'm telling you, my direct experience, the corporations, I worked for major corporations, and it's all thrown under the rug until the guy throws the stroller over the balcony at midnight in the middle of the Grand Floridian. And then guess what? It matters. Right, and now you can't throw it under the rug, because now you're trying to buy people off at midnight in your pajamas, at Disney World, and now the headlines go out, right? So, I'm super excited about this. Frankly, let's connect offline. I've got some amazing strategic ideas for you guys. Mikey and I are so passionate about getting the message out. We know that there is a solution. There's actually a chapter in this book that we read called "There Is a Solution," and we love to get that out, right? And this is one of my ideas for years, just one of my many. But I'm like, these corporations, even the small businesses with 12 people, right? I'm part of a company now. We're going to have 250 people, and I'm like, you really just we want the whole employee, not just the 9 to 5 win. We want that employee to have, and if the company can support a structure or resources to help the whole employee, that just makes us and everybody a better place to work, a better place to thrive and survive and move forward.
Right.
And win.
Abby, I think if I were looking for employment, I would be looking for a place that has what you have, which is a service for my whole, which addresses people in my family, myself. I think if it gives me an indication that your company, Abby, is not only this, but you're probably paying attention to multiple areas of my life to help support me through my journey of life. And that says an awful lot about your company, because it couldn't have been an easy decision to make, because it's an expense. It's a line item. It's an expense line item. And to your point, it's working with the whole, and it's staying on task of caring for others. And
it's absolutely a line item. But I think I saw a number on your website, like $8,000 per person per year or something, right? Like negative impact of not being sober.
Yeah, right.
Correct. That's right. And in fact, and it's even greater than that. I'll put a plug in. There's an amazing resource that's free for anyone to use from the National Safety Council. So if you just Google National Safety Council Substance Use Disorder Calculator, it allows you to plug in. I have 2,000 employees. We're based in the state of Maine. We're in the industry of hospitality, and it will punch out for you how much you can expect that you are spending today on untreated substance use disorder in your workplace. Because we've talked about how claims is not showing the truth of the number, this organization, so National Safety Council, right? Big organization, respected organization, put it together with the data informed from Department of Labor and others that will say, here's what you can expect you're spending in healthcare. Here's what you can expect that you're spending in productivity loss, turnover, retraining, all of it. So yes, there's an investment to work with Sobriety, but if you think about the cost of a relapse, the cost of an executive getting fired because they are not staying sober.
Just think of what
pays for
these
itself.
3 executives at these conferences. Think of what that costs.
Right.
The 12 years or the 22 years they had that they invested in that employee, the training and the benefits and resources and
all thrown out in an afternoon.
the MBA they paid for, gone.
Right.
Because a company is clueless.
Right.
Question, Abby, personal question. Hope you don't mind me asking. Are you on the sober path?
I'm on a journey. I think of exploring my own relationship with substances, particularly alcohol. I wouldn't say I'm 100% sober, but over the last, actually working, that employee that I brought up that I helped get sober, she really set me on a journey of exploring my own relationship with alcohol, which actually helps me explore my own relationship with my mental health, which is really what has come out of this kind of journey. So
what I love here, Abby, thank you very much for that. What I love is, I can sit there and say, okay, I get it. If Glenn was an HR person, I can get Glenn being bought in, right? But you haven't been to the alcoholic hell that Glenn has been at, and yet you still recognize the value of this, and through the process of embracing it, if I could use that word, and understanding the value, you have personally benefited from that too, through your exploration and your, just kind of figuring things out for yourself.
Well, I think one thing I want to throw out there that kind of makes it a no-brainer for us, yes, it's a line item, but we're talking about the cost of untreated substance use. So we sent out a survey to our team members. We're a normal company. There's nothing that sets us aside that's different than other. I mean, personally, I love our company. We're a great company, but we surveyed our team members. Our general population makeup is no different than other hospitality companies. Of the people that responded, 50% of our employee base shared that they have a friend or family member that has been impacted by substance use. So 50% of our employee base. 12% of the respondents say that they're personally in recovery. So to me, if companies are thinking, well, that's not me, or it is. 50% of our employee base has been affected by a loved one in recovery, in active addiction, recovery, substance use disorder. And it's our job to help them.
So pricing the economics are X amount per employee per month per year, right?
Yep. Or we do a flat fee for the investment. Yep.
So give us your best 30 seconds.
Well,
go ahead.
If I could jump
Yes,
in, Mike,
jump in.
I just want to start her 30 seconds by saying this. Your founding team and your team looks amazing. I just went through the website. I think there's 8 or 10 of folks on there. I mean, championship.
Okay, beautiful.
Thanks, Glenn. We think so too.
Yep. I mean, it just stands out.
I'm grateful I wasn't 22 when I started this company. I needed to learn some things in my career before taking this on. And I have an amazing co-founder at Sobriety. Then we have an incredible advisory board, including the former chief medical officer at Hazelden, Betty Ford, was our first board member we added, Dr. Marv Seppala. So we have a lot of great guidance and team members. I think at the end of the day, it's really simple. 1 in 10 employees you can assume are suffering with untreated substance use disorder, and 2 out of 3 families are impacted. And we owe them easy, clear care navigation to find the sober support that they need in that moment of time. In addition to changing our culture to be more inclusive for those sober employees and help people to explore and feel safe in exploring their sober curiosity. It just shouldn't be as hard as it is today. I think it's really that simple. We would never do this to someone with cancer or diabetes. We shouldn't be doing it to someone with substance use disorder. And it turns out it's really good for your business to invest in this, right? It's really good for your business to make sure that person at that conference who just got back from treatment doesn't feel forced to drink, even if no one's forcing them, that the environment feels so pressured that they relapse. We just got to do better by our people.
That's awesome. Abby, what do you think's been left unsaid in our time here?
I just want to give a lot of praise to Marin and Sobriety. They've been really wonderful to partner with, but particularly in the education piece, really helping us examine our culture. Yes, there's an expense, but beyond that, it has really helped us create policies, communication, help people connect. We have our own Olympia Cares Committee, which is our, employee resource group surrounding sober living, or people in sobriety, but also sober curious, sober allies. It's really a community for just awareness and resources, but they have been just a powerful engine to help us shift our culture and continue to help our employees thrive.
That's awesome.
That's great. Really, really cool.
Really good stuff. A special shout out to Carrie for hooking us up here. She is indeed a sober rock star. And shout out to Ingrid. Ingrid didn't join us for the coffee, but I kind of sense her fingerprints all over this. And
she's a co-founder, right?
Yeah. So
yep.
She's a co-founder. She's amazing.
Outstanding.
Yeah, shout out to Ingrid for all the good work.
Outstanding.
And again, Carrie, thank you. Abby, thank you so much for joining us. And Marin, thank you so much. We're going to put a link. Can you tell me the best place somebody can go? Would it be social media or to a website to find you? I'm going to put it in our resource room, but why don't you go ahead and shout it out now?
Yeah, we'd love follow us on LinkedIn, Sobriety, or find me on LinkedIn personally, Marin Nilsson, and send me a message. We'd love to chat to anyone who's interested and wants to learn more and how they can help their employees. Thank you both so much. And Abby, thank you.
Yeah.
Truly, we could not have a better partner in this work. We're super grateful to Olympia and the team there, and let them be an inspiration for everyone that it's fully possible to take this on and have good outcomes. So thank you both for having us this morning. It was a great way to start my Saturday.
Love to meet you, ladies.
Thank you so much. Maybe we'll come back and get some updates from you. Thank you so much. And if you're looking for a good job, go to Olympia Hospitality, because they obviously care about their employees.
Love it.
So, thank you so much, ladies.
Love
have a great day.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.
Stay safe in the city of Chicago.